Information Technology E-Extended, ITX. The Information Technology E-Extended form factor, widely known as ITX, represents the ultimate extreme in compact computer engineering, while there are a few variations like Nano ITX and Pico ITX. The standard you will encounter most frequently is Mini ITX, introduced in the early 2000s. This tiny motherboard was originally designed for low-power set-top boxes and industrial applications. However, it has since become the absolute favorite for enthusiasts building high-performance, small-form-factor gaming rigs and home theater personal computers. The ultra-compact dimensions. The most astonishing feature of a Mini ITX motherboard is its incredibly small physical footprint. It is a perfect square that measures exactly 6.7 inches by 6.7 inches. To put that into perspective, you could easily fit 4 of these tiny boards into the same space occupied by a single standard ATX motherboard, despite this massive reduction in size. The engineers designed the 4 mounting holes on a Mini ITX board to match the exact same pattern used by the center holes of a standard ATX board. This brilliant design choice means you can theoretically install this tiny square into a massive full-tower case. Although it is almost always paired with a specialized miniature chassis designed specifically to save desk space and blend into a living room environment. The strict expansion limits. Because the board is so incredibly small, there is simply no physical room for multiple expansion slots. A Mini ITX motherboard features exactly 1 PCI Express expansion slot. For almost all users, this single slot is dedicated entirely to the graphics card. If you need to add a dedicated sound card, a capture card, or an internal Wi-Fi adapter, you are completely out of luck, which is why premium Mini ITX boards usually come with high-end Wi-Fi and Bluetooth modules pre-installed directly onto the rear input-output panel. Memory expansion is also strictly limited instead of the 4 memory slots found on larger boards. Mini ITX boards only feature 2 system memory slots. This forces a technician to plan their builds very carefully, as you cannot simply add more RAM later without completely removing and discarding the original 2 memory sticks. Furthermore, traditional bulky hard drives are rarely used in these builds. Instead, technicians rely heavily on M2 NVMe solid-state drives that screw directly onto the motherboard, lying completely flat against the circuit board to save every precious millimeter of internal space. Thermal and cable management challenges. Building a computer with a Mini ITX motherboard is often considered a true test of a technician's patience and skill because all the components are crammed together in a tiny space. Heat becomes a massive enemy. The processor socket sits perilously close to the graphics card and the memory, meaning a standard bulky air cooler will often not fit without colliding with other parts. Technicians frequently rely on specialized low-profile heat sinks or all-in-one liquid cooling systems to move the heat away from the densely packed circuitry. Cable management is equally brutal. Standard power supply cables are often far too long and bulky for a Mini ITX case, forcing builders to aggressively bend the wires or purchase custom short-length cables. A messy bundle of wires in a tiny case will completely choke the airflow, leading to severe thermal throttling where the processor slows itself down to prevent a catastrophic meltdown.